Hi, I'm Natalie from No Limits Coaching, and this is the final video in my 10 Commandments of Weight Loss series. If you missed any of the previous videos, you can find them all on my website under the videos tab. That is nolimitscoachingnow.com. So today we're talking about my 10th commandment of weight loss, which is throwing food away is not a sin. You know, the idea that it's wrong to waste food has been programmed into us since childhood, starting with our parents telling us that we weren't allowed to get up from the table until we cleaned our plate, or that we had to finish our meal because poor children were starving in other countries. Even as adults, we don't want to throw food away because we spent money on it, or because it represents a special connection with someone we love, or just because wasting food feels wrong. Well, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but anytime you eat when you're not actually hungry, including when you don't stop eating because it just tastes so good or you just don't want to waste it, that's called overeating. And overeating is the number one reason why so many of us are struggling with our weight. So here's a couple of ways that this could be playing out in your life. I have to eat this or it'll go bad. Oftentimes this is rooted in the idea that we spent money for the food, so throwing it away is the same thing as throwing money away. And I'm embarrassed to tell you that I was already in my 50s before it finally dawned on me that the reason I was constantly eating to keep my food from going bad was because I was just buying more food than I needed on a weekly basis. And then, because I had too much food in the house, I had to make sure I ate it all so I wouldn't waste the money I spent. And then the cycle would just repeat itself every week. It seems so obvious now, but all I needed to do was just go to the grocery store with a meal plan so that I'd only buy what I needed for the weekend, nothing more. But here's the thing, we get used to buying ourselves a certain amount of food, the same way that we get used to about how much food we put on our plate at every meal. And reducing the amount of food that we're used to dealing with is just a matter of getting used to doing something different. Seeing less food in your pantry or seeing less food on your plate will probably cause your brain to throw a tantrum at first because that's not going to be enough. What if I get hungry later? Well, it's not a big deal. If you do get hungry for real, you're allowed to eat something. But chances are that if you start training yourself to reduce the amount of food that you buy and serve yourself by just 10 to 20%, your body won't even notice the difference. And that's really just the equivalent of about 2 to 3 less bites of food per meal. If your reason for overeating is because you don't want to waste the money that you spent on food, imagine how much money you'll save over time if you just get used to buying less food in the first place. I challenge you to try it for 2 weeks and just see what happens. If you get hungry after a meal, you can always go get something else to eat. And if you run out of food at home, they always have more at the grocery store. Just be open to seeing what happens, and you might surprise yourself with how easy it is to drop a few pounds and save a few bucks at the same time. And here's another scenario that you might recognize in your own life. Tastes so good, it would be a shame to waste it. This happens all the time, especially when we go out to eat at restaurants or when someone else has prepared our favorite food at a social gathering or a special event. We see the food as a special treat that we just don't get to enjoy every day. So when we do have the opportunity, we feel like we want to take full advantage of it. This is a tough one, and it's still something that I have to stay aware of to this day. What finally turned the light bulb on for me was when my coach had us do an exercise where we would sit down with our favorite food and really focus on describing all the physical sensations and the emotions that we experienced as we ate only one bite every 10 minutes. And we weren't allowed to have any distractions like TV or social media while we did this. And what I realized was that 90% of my enjoyment of my favorite food happened in the first 3 to 4 bites. After that, I noticed it just didn't taste the same as those first few bites, and my physical and emotional reactions were less and less. It made me realize how much of the time I'm just eating on autopilot, way past the point where I'm not getting the full enjoyment from it anymore. It's no accident that food tastes and smells better when you're really hungry. As your hunger subsides, so does the appeal of the food. But so often we're eating with a million distractions, or we're multitasking and just not paying attention to our food, and we end up eating well past the point where our hunger was satisfied. I encourage you to try this exercise for yourself and really pay attention to what you're experiencing in your body when you're 100% focused on your meal. And that means slowing down, turning off the distractions, and really immersing yourself in the enjoyment of your food. You just might surprise yourself when you realize that you're satisfied long before you would normally stop eating. And here's the best part. Now you get to put it back in the fridge and enjoy it again tomorrow, which you wouldn't have been able to do if you just ate the whole thing because it just tastes so good. Why on earth would you not want to enjoy your food as much as possible every time you sit down to eat? And who would choose to enjoy something only once if they had the option to enjoy it twice? So, what are your reasons for not wanting to waste food? Do those ideas support you in your efforts to lose weight, or do they just provide you an easy excuse to eat when you're not hungry? I would suggest that you start to consider a new definition for what wasting food is. The only real waste of food is forcing your body to convert it to fat and then carrying it around with you 24/7 because you ate more than what your body needs on a daily basis. Listen, there is no starving child in Africa who's going to get a free meal because you cleaned your plate. If you really want to stop wasting food, that means you have to stop overeating and overbuying. Not only will that save you money, it also means more supply will be available to those people with fewer resources. Overeating in an effort to not waste food actually prevents you from learning the skills that you need to be able to eat and live like someone who has the body that you want. The eating and lifestyle habits that you have now are creating the body that you have now. If you want something different, then you have to be willing to do something different. And that means being willing to start changing the way that you feed your body. You know, success in weight loss starts with understanding that you do not need to clean your plate at every meal. So just get over your resistance to wasting food and you'll take a whole lot of the struggle out of your weight loss. You don't need to starve yourself, give up all your favorite foods, or spend the rest of your life eating nothing but steamed fish and vegetables. You just need to stop overeating. Easier said than done? 100%. There is a big difference between learning something and actually putting it to work in your everyday life. You know, change doesn't happen because you learn something new. Change happens because you start doing something new, and that's the hard part. You know, humans can be very resistant to change, but you can stack the odds in your favor by working with someone who's been there and who knows what to do and how to help you. Sure, you could do things the hard way and figure it out on your own, or you could give yourself an unfair advantage and let me be your secret weapon. If you're tired of the merry-go-round and you're sick of trying diet after diet only to end up weighing more than you did before, then you and I need to have a conversation. Go to my website right now, nolimitscoachingnow.com, and schedule a free 30-minute call with me so that I can set you up for success with a running head start. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video series on my 10 commandments of weight loss. Now remember, if you missed any of the previous videos, you can find them all on my website under the videos tab. And don't forget to like and share this video with someone that you care about who's tired of struggling with their weight too. I'm Natalie from No Limits Coaching. I'll see you again soon with some new tips and tools to help you get more of what you want out of life. Until then, stay healthy and be kind to yourself.